can put candles on the ground
I'm tired of stuff. I don't know. All right.
Yeah. Or just let me. There's so many demonstrations.
That's why we have people like going outside.
Alright,
I'll just go ahead. Why are we running out? Yep.
You can then go around and everyone can share it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Your guns are still doing okay? Alright. Let us know if you're cool. We're gathered here today to commemorate the 28th anniversary of the Bhopal disaster, the greatest industrial disaster in history. This disaster was not caused by an accident. It was caused by gross negligence by Union Carbide and now Dow Chemical, the company that owns the plant in Bhopal, India. And due to their cost-cutting on safety measures and the use of unproven technology at the plant, the gas leak that happened on the night of December 2nd, 1984 killed over 10,000 people within the next 3 days and affected more than 500,000 people for life, resulting in loss of livelihoods, permanent disabilities, and also a very high rate of birth defect in second generation of people born in Bhopal. Unfortunately, the disaster is still not resolved today, 28 years later. We're still dealing with massive contamination of soil and groundwater in Bhopal due to the toxic chemicals that are left behind at the Dow Chemicals plant. We're still seeing a huge number of birth defects in children that are being born every day in Bhopal to parents who have been exposed to gas or who have been drinking contaminated water. And there's still no proper compensation for those who suffered and who have been suffering for the past 28 years. And what we're here to ask for is justice. Justice not only in the form of proper compensation from Dow Chemical and a complete environmental assessment and cleanup in Bhopal. Justice not only in the form of the Indian government providing adequate health care and economic rehabilitation to the survivors, but also justice in the form of corporate accountability. And corporate accountability means that no other corporation should ever be able to get away with the horrible crimes against humanity like the ones that Dow Chemical has committed in Bhopal. Corporate accountability means that every corporation will have to think twice before setting up shop in a low-resource country and using substandard technology and cutting costs and safety measures and thinking that they can get away with it. Corporate accountability means that all of our lives as well are going to be safer and more protected from the kind of negligence and abuse that we see everywhere, not just in India, but also here in this country and in many countries around the world. So, in short, we're all gathered here to see justice, and justice in Bhopal also means justice for everyone.
I'm Randy. I grew up in New Jersey. We had Union Carbide plants, several in New Jersey. I had a summer job here. Union Carbide is an American company, presumably responsible to American law. My company, Dow Chemical, is an American company, presumably responsible to American law, and yet my country allowed this to happen. My country refuses to make it impossible for it to happen. I'm deeply, deeply
disaster in Bhopal actually was not just on the night of December 2nd and 3rd, but it continues to happen. It continues to happen because there has been a lack of justice to the people. It continues to happen because the chemicals keep leaching into the groundwater, where the corporations Union Carbide and Dow Chemicals left the chemicals untouched on the ground with impunity, which continues to leach and poison the waters of the thousands and thousands of people around the Bhopal plant, where people are very poor and their drinking water, their only source of water is the bore well that is dug into their community. And for years this has been poisoned, and the people of that area have been drinking that water. The disaster continues because we have many congenitally defective children being born to mothers and parents who were exposed to the gases from the Union Carbide plant on December 2nd, 1984. On that night, that horrendous night, over 10,000 people were killed and several others injured. And since then, many more have succumbed to the injuries that have been that were meted out to them by the deadly concoction of gas. But the power of these corporations was so great that the composition of methyl isocyanate has not to this day been revealed. And it was not revealed on the day of the disaster, when a known antidote would have saved the lives of thousands more. But on the pretext of it being a trade secret, it has still been kept hidden from the public eye. While this kind of death and murder, if you will, continues to happen, the corporations change their names, sell shares to this and that, shift between countries like India and the US. And in India, Dow says they will not, offer themselves to the jurisdiction of the Indian court. And in the US, they said the US court says they will not be subjugated to the jurisdictions of the US court. So between these lines of countries and nation states, the corporations continue to hoodwink the people and make profits over the lives and the bodies of thousands of poor people of Bhopal. So we are gathered here to demand justice for the survivors who have been fighting for it for the last 28 years. We have gathered here to demand clean water for the people of Bhopal. We have gathered here, like Leonid says, to ask for remediation of the area, to clean it of the toxic waste that have been left behind.
We stand here in solidarity with the people of Bhopal and people everywhere in the world who have suffered because of corporate accountability. We are here to show our support, and we will continue to support the cause and continue our struggle for justice.
British Petroleum was made to pay billions of dollars for cleanup as well as billions of dollars for fines. There cannot be a different standard for what happens in the US and for what happens in a third world country. If British Petroleum is responsible for the pollution and death it caused in the US, then Dow, which now owns Union Carbide, is responsible for the death, suffering and the pollution it caused in India. We demand equal justice to all.
We are here to support the cause for justice for the people from Bhopal who are affected in this tragedy. But hopefully this would also make the governments involved realize that common men are supporting the people still 28 years on after the tragedy happened, and make the companies that are responsible for this pay up and stop incidents like this happen in future as well. We're all gathered here to protest against the gross injustice against all the Bhopal victims. It's really sad and painful that even after 28 years of the incident, not much has been done about it. We hope through our protest that the government and the organizations that are involved realize the mistake they have done, and no matter what I understand no matter what they cannot repair the damage that they have caused, but it's time they own up for their act and take responsibility for what they did.
We're here to support the people of Bhopal and the massive injustice that they have suffered. We're here because a gross injustice was done to them, and they've been stripped of their basic right of clean water. This is not fair. Dow Chemical should acknowledge what they've done and pay out. This is about corporate ethics, and that's more important when especially this has been going on for 28 years. It's 28 years too much.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now! Now! Now!
Clean up now!
Now! Now!
Clean up now!
Now! Now!
Clean up now!
Now! Now!
Clean up now!
Justice for Bhopal!
Justice for all!
Justice for Bhopal!
It's justice for all!
Justice for Bhopal!
It's justice for all! Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow! Dow! Dow!
Clean up now!
Dow! Dow!
Clean up now!
Dow! Dow!
Clean up now!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
Dow! Dow!
Clean up now!
Dow! Dow!
Clean up now!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
A little bit, but I don't want to throw it away if you waste. Oh,
No, it's just, I will say, हम भोपाल की नारी हैं. इससे दूर नहीं होगा. We are not flowers. And this was articulated by the women of Bhopal. Then we read your in Hindi we say, हम भोपाल की नारी हैं. We are the women of Bhopal. फूल नहीं चिंगारी है. We are playing on flowers. So this was something which is something the survivor. We don't have more. We are not flowers. Trying to say that.
I think you get the right one.
Yeah, you get it.
A little? Just two more minutes. Alright, let's do this one. हम भोपाल की नारी हैं,
फूल नहीं चिंगारी है,
हम भोपाल की नारी हैं,
फूल नहीं चिंगारी है,
हम भोपाल की नारी हैं,
फूल नहीं चिंगारी है,
हम भोपाल की नारी हैं,
फूल नहीं चिंगारी है.
Okay. Up with justice!
Down with Dow!
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 What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Dow! Dow!
Clean up 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 now!
Justice for Bhopal!
It's justice for all!
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 We all live in
Bhopal!
We all live in
Bhopal! we don't have to gather here next year, so that everything is visual for them. We have to keep working hard on it, struggling for it, fighting for it, and do whatever it takes to see justice happen in the case of the survivors and the next generations.
I think I feel otherwise, like they would have the fact that people know about it, talk about it, survival.
Yeah, so some of the things that have happened in the past year or so, thanks to the work of the campaigners, and thanks to the international support that it has been gathering, is about 16 of the communities that have had to drink contaminated water are now getting clean water from pipelines. And unfortunately, recently it was discovered that there are more communities to whom the contamination has spread. So right now the campaign is also working on, getting those communities to be included in the provision of clean water program that's started by the government. There was also a series of clinical trials that have been conducted on the survivors of the Bhopal disaster illegally without any of their consent. They've basically been given drugs that pharmaceutical companies wanted to test without any knowledge or consent on their part. And right now, one of the things that the campaign is pursuing is trying to get some legal redress from those companies, because actually there were 13 deaths in the course of the clinical trials that are believed to be directly attributable to the clinical trials. Another thing that's happening is that the legal case against Dow Chemical is progressing in India. There have been a stay issued for the benefit of Dow Chemical, which basically meant that they didn't have to appear in court. And the stay has just recently, like about a month ago, been lifted, which means that Dow Chemical is now obligated to appear in court in the state court of Madhya Pradesh, and they're going to have to answer for their actions, and especially for harboring a fugitive from justice, which is Union Carbide, because Union Carbide never appeared in court either. So that is going to be happening over the course of this coming year. And actually today, as we speak, well, probably not as we speak, but sometime today, the survivors in Bhopal have gathered around the Prime Minister's house, and they're actually surrounding the Prime Minister's house in Delhi, because the Prime Minister has been making a lot of promises but has not kept up with any of them so far. And so this is a way for them to say, we have been waiting for too long, we can't wait for any longer, we need you to act on the promises that you have made. And so it's quite possible that some of them are going to get arrested or otherwise obstructed from what they're doing. But the movement is still very strong. There are a lot of young people joining the movement now. There's a new organization called Children Against Dow Carbide, which tries to get younger people involved in the struggle as well. And so it is pretty clear that the struggle is going to go on for as long as it takes to finally see justice happen in Bhopal. All right, the dead may rise.
Yeah.
Huge thanks to Shukat for spending all this time on the ground, not just here, but the other 4 places we were protesting today. right. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Thanks
zombie
for showing your
riders.
solidarity and support.
Jai Bhopal!
Jai Bhopal.